In the kingdom of Vardhana, where the sun painted gold upon the dust and every sound of the forge was a hymn to survival, there lived a woman named Gauri, a blacksmith's daughter with hands strong enough to shape iron, yet a heart gentle enough to cradle wounded sparrows. Her life was simple, her joy humble. Each dawn, she would rise before the first light, wash her face in the river, and whisper a silent prayer. May my work harm none. May my strength be my virtue. Her father, now old and frail, had taught her that iron and karma are alike. Both take the shape of the fire they face. But far away, behind the marble walls of the royal palace, a different kind of fire burned, one of desire and decay. King Virasena, once a man of justice, had fallen to the intoxication of power. He ruled not with dharma, but with appetite, for wealth, for praise. And for women, it was said he could have anything he wished for, and that was precisely his curse. One fateful day, while his soldiers were repairing their armor in Gauri's village, the king caught sight of her, the glow of the forge lighting her face, sweat glistening like molten gold. She stood there, unbent and unafraid, shaping a blade on the anvil. The king's eyes did not see her work, only her form. And in that moment, a dark seed of lust and arrogance took root in his heart. Bring her to the palace, he ordered. But the messenger hesitated. My lord, she is known for her wisdom. She will not come easily. The king smiled, the kind of smile that turns compassion into command. Then she will come the hard way. That night, Gauri sat under the banyan tree, staring at the stars. Her father coughed beside her, his eyes heavy with worry. Child, he said softly, in this world, truth must wear armor. When kings forget dharma, only wisdom can protect the innocent. Gauri looked at her calloused palms and whispered, Then wisdom shall be my weapon. As the moon rose high, she knew her test had begun, not of iron, but of karma. For the fire that shapes metal would now be the same fire that would shape her destiny. And somewhere in the silent heavens, the law of cause and effect stirred, unseen, but certain. Asterisk, asterisk, the royal summons arrived at dawn, sealed in red wax, stamped with power, and heavy with unspoken threats. Gauri held the parchment in her hands, her pulse steady as the beating of a smith's hammer. Around her, the villagers whispered in fear. To be called to the king's court was no honor for a woman. It was often a silent sentence. Her father's trembling hand reached for hers. Do not go, my child, he pleaded. You are strong, but the world is cruel. Gauri met his weary eyes. A coward dies many times before his death, father. A just heart only once. She tied her hair, wiped the soot from her face, and carried with her not a weapon, but her wits. The grand hall of King Virasena was a temple of vanity, golden pillars, perfumed air, and eyes that never looked inward. The king sat on his throne, adorned in silk and sin. When Gauri entered, there was a ripple of silence. She neither bowed nor trembled. Her gaze met his, calm, unbroken, pure as polished steel. So you are the blacksmith's daughter, the king said, his voice dripping with false gentleness. Yes, she replied. And you are the ruler of this land, where even truth must seek permission to breathe. The courtiers gasped, but the king only smirked. You speak boldly for a woman of the forge. Fire teaches fearlessness, my lord. It burns away what pretends. Virasena leaned forward. They say your hands shape metal like art. What if I asked you to shape something else? My heart. A low laughter filled the chamber. Yet Gauri stood still, unflinching. Her words fell like cool water on flame. My lord, hearts of gold can be shaped, but hearts of stone must first remember how to feel. The king's pride cracked, but his lust deepened. You will dine here tonight, he ordered. You will stay until I dismiss you. Gauri's eyes glinted like tempered iron. Then allow me one gift before I obey. A gift from my forge. He raised a brow. A gift? Yes, she said softly. A blade that reflects the truth of those who look into it. That night, as the torches flickered, Gauri worked in the palace forge. Each strike of her hammer echoed through the corridors like a heartbeat of destiny. The guards whispered. The sound felt less like crafting metal, and more like forging fate. When the blade was done, it gleamed not with silver, but with stillness, as though it held the light of justice itself. She placed it on a silk cloth and whispered, "May the mirror of karma never fail to show its reflection." By dawn, the weapon was ready. And so was destiny. Dawn spilled into the royal courtyard like molten gold. The scent of burning sandalwood lingered in the air as King Virasena entered his private chamber, where Gauri awaited. Her new forged blade laid before her on a velvet cloth. He admired it with a hungry fascination. "So this," he murmured, "is your offering to the king?" "Yes," Gauri said softly. "But it is more than a blade, my lord. It is a mirror." The king frowned. "A mirror?" She nodded. "Forged not just of iron, but of truth. Look into it, and it will show what lies within your soul." The courtiers chuckled, thinking it mere jest. But Gauri's calm silence turned the laughter into unease. Virasena, arrogant and amused, lifted the weapon. The polished steel shimmered in the morning light, and when his gaze fell upon it, his smile faltered. For a fleeting instant, he did not see his crown or his power. He saw himself, twisted, hollow, and hungry. A man eaten alive by his own desires. Behind him, the faint image of countless faces he had wronged seemed to flicker in the blade's reflection. He flung it away. "Trickery!" he roared. "Witchcraft!" But Gauri's voice rose above his anger, calm, certain, unshaken. "My lord, no magic can reveal what does not already exist. The blade shows nothing but truth, the one even kings fear to face." The room grew still. For the first time, Virasena's command carried no echo. The courtiers avoided his eyes. The mask of fear began to crack. Gauri stepped forward, her tone neither defiant nor submissive, but rooted in the calm gravity of Dharma. "You summoned me to take what was not yours to claim. Yet in that greed, you invited your own reflection. Every thought, every action, it returns, my lord. That is the law of karma. Even the highest throne cannot stand above it." Her words struck like thunder in a silent sky. The king's face darkened. "Do you threaten your king?" "I remind you," she said, "that no one is king before truth." The silence that followed was heavy, not with fear, but revelation. The courtiers bowed their heads, not to the king, but to the woman who had dared to hold a mirror to power. As guards rushed in, Gauri turned toward them, unafraid. "Let him keep the blade," she said softly. "For someday he will need to look again." And as she walked away from the palace, the first drops of rain began to fall, washing the dust from the courtyard as if the heavens themselves had witnessed the purification of pride not far behind her. The sound of thunder echoed, not in the sky, but in the king's heart, for karma had awakened, and its reflection would soon return. Years passed. Seasons folded into each other like pages of a forgotten book. King Virasena still ruled, but something within him had broken that day. The mirror of the blade haunted him. No matter how many times he looked into the royal mirrors of his chamber, he could no longer find the king, only the frightened man beneath the crown. He built temples to silence his guilt, gave alms to drown his conscience, and offered prayers hoping the gods would forget what he had seen. But karma does not forget. It waits. One winter morning, the king fell ill, not of body, but of spirit. No physician could heal the cold spreading through his heart. In delirium, He called for the sword, the same blade Gowrie had forged. When the servants brought it, he touched its hilt, trembling. The steel still shimmered like water under sunlight. And this time, when he gazed upon it, he saw not a monster, but a memory. He saw Gowrie, standing tall, calm, unbroken by fear. Her eyes had held neither hatred nor revenge, only truth. And suddenly, he understood that the reflection had never been meant to shame him. It was meant to awaken him. He rose from his bed and summoned his court. "Send word across the land," he said. "Find the blacksmith woman, the teacher of kings." But years had passed. Villagers whispered that she had gone to the mountains, living among wandering monks, teaching that fire can forge either a weapon or a soul, depending on who holds the hammer. Virasena set out himself, leaving behind his crown and guards. He walked through forests and rivers until he reached the foothills, where an old woman sat beneath a banyan tree, shaping metal into tools for farmers. He fell to his knees. "Forgive me," he whispered. "You once showed me my truth. I did not understand." Gowrie smiled, her hands still steady on the iron. "Understanding comes when pride is silent, my king." He bowed lower. "Then let me serve truth instead of power." She looked into his weary eyes. "Then rise not as a king, but as a human. The throne may vanish, but a soul that wakes never dies." That night, the mountain wind carried a strange stillness. In the morning, the villagers found a single sword hanging upon the tree, its edge dulled, its reflection clear as water. Beside it, a plaque read, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is invincible." They say the kingdom changed after that. No longer ruled by fear, but by justice. No longer driven by pride, but by understanding dot, and somewhere in the mountains, a blacksmith woman still forged, not weapons, but wisdom. For every spark from her hammer whispered the same truth. Karma is not punishment. It is the mirror of the soul.